Welcome to the Breakfast Leadership Show, where we interview global thought leaders on business, leadership, and life. Here's your host, keynote speaker, best-selling author, and chief burnout officer of the Breakfast Leadership Network, Michael Levitt.
Welcome back. I've got Dr. Ichak Adizes on the line. Doctor, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Michael?
I am awesome. You do some amazing work. You've had a storied career and you've done some amazing work that is so critically important in the world today. But if you could, real quick, just share a little bit about you and then we'll dive into the conversation.
Well, I was a professor at UCLA and visiting professor at Stanford and Columbia, some of the leading universities in the United States in the field of management. And I was invited by some companies to do consulting, which happens to many business professors. And to my shock, shows you how naive I was, many of my recommendations were not implemented, or they were implemented badly. Then I found out that I'm not alone, that the whole field of management consulting, which is a multi-billion dollars industry, has a very low percentage of effectiveness of implementation, or that the implementation is pretty bad. And the whole field of consulting is on its face because the problem is implementation. Then I looked at the curriculum I was teaching as a professor, and we didn't have one course on implementation. Then I looked at the courses at Stanford, no one course on implementation. Columbia, none, Tel Aviv, Hebrew University, all these universities, I was a visiting professor. They don't teach implementation. And that really shook me up because apparently the assumption is if you make a good decision, it will be implemented. But there is a problem. Not true. There is something called compliance, not only in the field of management, but even in personal life. We decide to go on a diet. We decided. Problem implementation. Doctors have a problem. They prescribe you medicine. You don't take it. Psychotherapists help you to change your personality style. You don't. There is a big problem called implementation. And that triggered me, and I gave up my tenure at the university, lifetime appointment with a wife and 2 children. I said, guys, thank you very much. Because there was nothing in the literature I could read. There were no books on the field. So I said, I'm going to now try, what's called action research or empirical research. I'm going to develop a methodology how to implement change effectively, rapidly, successfully, without destructive conflict. Because whenever you have change, you want to do it rapidly, there is a lot of conflict. And that's what I did, Michael. I spent 50 years of my life not doing work in a laboratory, not doing controlled experiments, not doing questionnaires, not interviewing, actually changing companies, taking clients and changing them. And I developed a methodology, it took me 50 years, which I documented in many, many manuals, and I documented in 26 books translated to 36 languages. And I'm bestseller all around the world except in this country, because I didn't pay much attention to the American market, which is very difficult. American market is very action-oriented, give me the solution, get out of the way. That's why consultants are easy to sell. They don't take your time. They give you a report. The problem is it's not implementable that easily. And my methodology is like therapy. I do not give you a prescription. I develop a methodology to work with a company and ask the right questions so that they can arrive at their own conclusions and they implement their own decisions. but it's different from coaching. So it's a totally new methodology, It's a paradigm shift in the field. Because I don't work one-on-one. The assumption is in coaching, if you work with a CEO and you change his style, the company will change. Good luck. It's like family therapy. Changing the husband will not change the family. Changing the wife will not change the family. You have to change the dots that connect the members of the family. So I work on the dots. I work on the relationships of a company. My client is not the CEO, which is the coaching industry. My client is not who pays me the bill, which is the consulting industry. My client is the organization. Who is the organization? Who are the clients that need the services of the organization? This is my client. And I change the whole organization. So I have in a room sometimes 30 people. And by asking the right questions and knowing whom to get into the room and asking the right questions, I get the whole movers and shakers of the company to agree on change, and they make change. So for my success, I can tell you, and then I'm going to stop. 1982 was one of my first clients was Bank of America, which was going really south, losing market share. And I did a total reorganization of the bank, successfully implementable. I helped Domino Pizza, and I get credit in the book, the Domino Tiger, I think. That's a book that the founder of the Domino Pizza wrote. How Adizes helped him move from being almost bankrupt to be a 4 billion company. Wonderful company, went from 12 million in sales to 4 billion, to Applied Material from 400 million to 15 billion. So I have a track record. With my methodology, companies change rapidly without destructive conflict, implementation almost assured. That is what I'm famous for worldwide.
Yeah, it's amazing work. And, I remember the turnaround with Tom Monahan and Domino's, because I'm originally from the Detroit area. So I remember seeing that. And of course,
I did that.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, because he bought the Detroit Tigers, and then a couple of years later they won the World Series. So you have a part of that,
Yes, I did.
That's so I appreciate that as somebody.
Well, I helped him to not only save the company. It's not just me. That this is institute. We work it takes an organization to change an organization. So we do different pieces of the change. I do organizational structure. Somebody does the information system. Somebody does the reward system. Somebody else does the strategy. And we work in the right sequence as a team and make changes. And was not only changing the company, was changing him to have time to devote himself to his dream, his childhood dream, to own a baseball team. So that was what he actually did. That was his dream, and he realized his dream.
Yeah, it's important work, and it's and I know that, and I mean, I can still have the vivid memories of when they won the World Series and they're interviewing him in the locker room, and you could just tell. I mean, he was a grown man, but you could see a little boy in the glimmer of his eye. Sure. He was so excited and happy.
And then with a helicopter to land Domino's in the middle of the field, during the break. By the way, I learned a lot from him, as much as he learned from me, because he was a marketing genius. He was a real marketing genius. That guy had more ideas as a marketeer that you can, but what we helped him is organize his structure, build his structure, build them so that the structure corresponds to the strategy, and the information system corresponds to the structure, to the mission, and the reward is alignment. Let me explain that because it's very important. Why so many companies have problems? And boy, oh boy, we are all deep trouble. Companies are going in, falling apart left and right. There is a reason. Because of the rate of change, Michael. And what happens when there is change? You have to understand this, and what do we do? What is really this methodology about? I want to give you the essence of it. Everything is a system, and the company is a system. By definition, a system is comprised of subsystems. So you have the marketing subsystem, sales subsystem, production subsystem, or operations, financial, human resources, subsystems. When there is change, the subsystems do not change at the same speed. Marketing changes faster than sales, or you have to retrain the sales force. Production, oh my God, that's a major change. Slower. Changing the accounting system, you should live long enough. And changing the human element, attitudes, knowledge, capabilities, wow. Because the subsystems do not change at the same speed, that causes the system to fall apart, gaps, disintegrate. The higher is the rate of change, the faster and the bigger is the disintegration. There is a reason why America is falling apart, because of the rate of change. Now, if disintegration is the cause of all problems, listen to what I said, it's very important for your podcast people listening. All problems, whether you have problems in your life, physically, medically, psychologically, in your marriage, in your company, in your car, in your faucet, all comes from one reason, change. So whenever you have a problem, ask yourself the question, what has fallen apart? What has changed? So if disintegration is the cause of all problems, what's the solution? Integration. And that's what consulting companies don't do. So I realign the subsystems. I say marketing, slow down, God damn it, slow down. Sales, catch up. Production, catch up. Accounting, wait. Always align, always align. The secret of success in personal life is also alignment. Is your personal life aligned with your professional life? Is your physical life aligned with your mental life? Everything is alignment. So therapy is integration. And what we developed is a methodology how to align the company in time of change, give them the tools that they can continue changing without losing alignment. That's why companies have grown to 4 billion and still growing and are not falling apart, because they don't allow themselves to fall apart.
And having that system design allows those organizations to navigate. And I don't want to say it doesn't matter what's happening out in the world, whether it's pandemics or inflation or whatnot, because they've got that integration and those systems in place, they're able to, and the tools.
So what's the difference between my methodology and this methodology that we practice all over the world? I have 10 offices around the world and around 100 associates trained and certified. It takes a long time to certify people in organizational therapy. That's called organizational therapy. Is to pay attention to the right sequence, what you do. The sequence is to be right. You don't do surgery, then you wash your hands. First you wash your hands, then you do surgery. The sequence is to be right, and takes time to learn how to do the right sequence, to ask the right questions at the right sequence. You see, most people do strategy first, structure second. Mistake. That's what the mistake all consulting companies do. Why? Because the strategy cannot be delivered by the old structure. So the old structure, and when you try to change the structure, you have a lot of resistance. And I change the sequence. I first change the structure to be amenable to change. Then with an amenable to change structure, I develop the strategy. Then I change the structure back to the new strategy. So it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So we have a methodology, which we did. And by the way, we were invited to work with governments. I personally work with 8 prime ministers. Just today I got invitation by one prime minister to come to talk to him. So how do you change a country? Because the country is falling apart.
You follow your methodology. And I think it's not shocking that countries are looking into. That's smart on them to look at this, because again, if a country falters, then the ramifications of that from a societal standpoint, not just for that country, but all the countries get impacted by that.
Yes, that's right. And when the country is falling up, look, Here is the secret of success of any system. Human being, marriage, company, or country. As I told you, I work with 8 prime ministers. I still work. It's a ratio between external integration divided by internal disintegration. External integration is what thousands of books are written about. Strategic planning, marketing, to look at the external world. What does the market need? What are your capabilities? How do you match capabilities to needs and to the right product at the right price, at the right channel, at the right promotion? How do you integrate with the external world, measured by market share or the trade balance if you're a country, or in a personal life called career ladder? External integration. Internal disintegration is all the wasted time on fighting internally, in your own head, in your family, in the company, in the country. Why does this predict success? Because we know from physics that energy is fixed. So any energy that we spend on fighting between our ears, fighting in the family, in the company, or in the country, is not available to fight the external world. I have clients which had incredible technology. And when you have a great technology and there is a great market, money comes. There is no problem with money. So they have money, they have market, they have technology. Went bankrupt. How come? The partners were fighting. So in order to increase success of a company, of a country, of a marriage, I have a book also how to apply methodology to marriage. You have to cut down the internal fighting, the internal disintegration. Success is from the inside out. We pay attention too much to the outside. All these consulting companies paying attention to strategy, looking outside. It's like the space syndrome, expanding on the margin, collapsing at the core. So the company on the margin is growing, but the company is falling apart inside. We pay attention to the inside. Integrate the inside, freeze the energy to fight the world. Give you an example which will maybe apply, I don't know, yes or no to you. I'm going next week to Israel. There is elections there. I want to speak there. We cannot make peace in Israel with the Arabs until we make peace between ourselves. So while we are fighting between ourselves, the Jewish people religious against the non-religious, the Sephardic against the Ashkenazic, those against that, all the energy is wasted inside. How much energy do you have to make peace with the Arabs? You cannot. If you have a fight in the family, you cannot develop a career because your energy goes fighting at home. So peace is from the inside out, and that this methodology is how to build inside peace and free the energy for the outside. That's what we do.
And, the challenges that Israel is facing, are similar in the United States, where there's just so much infighting right now that it's causing so many different issues, and we're not addressing real systematic problems, which you know about, because it's such a difficult country. And you nailed it a few minutes ago when you said, we just want action. It's like they don't want to do the work. They just want the solution.
Simple. Sort of fast food country. This is a fast food country. Instant solutions, instant sex, instant love, instant cryptocurrencies, make $1 million, by manipulating something. Everything is instant, and life is not instant. We are born. No, not we. I'm 85 years old. I starved 4 times in my life, so I know how hard it is to make success. But the new generation, they lived in abundance. They don't know what it means to work hard. They think everything is to be simple. And because of that, we are really, it's very difficult to sell a diesel methodology in Russia. I'm a best, in America. I'm a bestseller all over the world, except in America. They look for a simple solution, and my books are not simple. My books you have to study, not to read. You have to study. People don't want to study. Give me a simple solution. Give me the formula, and that's it, and get out of the way. That's why I'm talking to you. Maybe somebody will listen to this, and maybe they will start really studying what really should be done rather than they're looking for simple solutions.
Yeah, the successful organizations and successful people and families and marriages and all of that do the work. They study it. They become a student of life and they never stop. They keep learning because it just makes things grow. So, Doctor, I've loved this conversation. Thank you so very much for your time. I will have the links to your books and everywhere else for people to find you in the show notes. But thank you so much for your incredible value time. Safe travels to Israel and continue being well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Breakfast Leadership Show, part of the Breakfast Leadership Network. Visit breakfastleadership.com for tips on empowering your business and your life.